oh, let's build a new smart city. And I immediately, look at them with skepticism. I can give you tens of examples of smart cities, new ones, fantastically designed, great tech, but they've become ghost towns. So, for example, you're living in Zagreb, and I would say, hey, Zagreb has these problems. I can give you a list of problems and say, what do I need to do to make you move 100 or 150 kilometers away from Zagreb? And you'll say, no, the problems are not that bad. I have my job, I have my family, everything works over here. Why the hell would I move away to a place which is perhaps more expensive?
Drage dame i gospodo, dobar dan i dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Liderova podcasta ovdje na Future Tense konferenciji u Zagrebu 2025. godine. S nama je profesor dr. Sami Kazi iz VTT-a u Finskoj s kojim ćemo razgovarati o nekoliko zanimljivih tema, pa da ne duljimo s ovom dosadnom voditeljskom pričom, idemo se baciti na zanimljivog gosta. Mr. Kazi, from your work in future foresight, which technologies do you believe will reshape how we work and live in the next 10 years?
That's a very interesting question, and I'm sure many people will, have different answers. I'm sure some people will talk about AI and the transformative nature of it. But for me, it's about how do we combine certain technologies so that people can make informed and better decisions. And one word I like to use a lot is actionable intelligence. And of course, sometimes AI provides it, sometimes other applications provide it. So for me, it's moving from just, let's say, IT or other stuff to actually things where people can make choices and decisions. We are at that level of intellectual maturity and courageous enough to want to make our own decisions. We are not tied by, let's say, boundaries that you cannot decide. So I think this is where, we start to head towards.
Do you think the businesses now, and especially in the future, are losing or gonna lose the human touch, so to say?
I have a feeling that, in some industries, yes, you may argue that they're losing the human touch. But I think in many countries, like Finland, where I'm based, the human touch is becoming even more important and valuable in all actions, let's say, which companies and cities are taking. Now, in the past, many people, they talk about citizen centricity. It's still a very popular buzzword. I will design applications or tools which are for around or based on people. But then others are smart and saying, no, we don't necessarily do that. Let's first get into citizen engagement. Just see how and what citizens actually want. And co-design, let's say, it can be products, it can be services, it can be buildings, it can actually be districts, it can be cities. So this is where I see, that movement actually going forth. So while some may say that, we've lost the human touch, everything is digitized, everything is automated, I still believe that in developing these solutions or others, the human touch and the importance of humans is becoming more and more.
I appreciate the optimism.
Oh, I am quite certain about this. Because in the past, I would argue that humans did not really have much of a choice. But now we have choices. And once you're given a choice, it's very difficult to go back. Just to give you a very simple example, when COVID hit Europe, of course, most of the world, different countries had different policies, but many said, okay, you can actually do remote work. Now, for many people, it was crazy. It didn't make sense. No, I want to go to the office and work. But the moment people got used to remote work, hey, this is not too bad because I can choose certain timings, I can concentrate, I can multitask. And when offices reopened, many offices are still struggling to force employees to come back. And many have now given like a hybrid model that, okay, you can spend 2 days here, 3 days here, because people have that choice.
Exactly. Yeah, once we have a choice, it's hard to let go of the choice.
It's hard to let go, definitely.
How do you think organizations can integrate futures thinking into their everyday strategic planning beyond just trend reports?
I think I can give you, the one of the taglines of my organization. I work at VTT, the Technical Research Center of Finland. It's beyond the obvious.
Okay.
So, how do you actually go forth beyond the obvious? And in many cases, when people, they present something new or look at trend reports, it's just like a statement which is given. So if I were to pick up a phone as an example and say, here is a device, you can talk to anybody. maybe doesn't sound exciting. It may. But on the other hand, if I were to say, what if I give you a device which can talk to anybody? So now the only thing I have done is I've added that word what if over there. That should be an intellectual stimulant for you to think, okay, it's not that the device is ready, but what if? So you may even think about other things you can actually start doing with it. And this is, I think, one of the things many organizations I work and consult with, we're trying to push them towards that. To start off by, pushing forth, great ideas or stuff with what if statements. Relying on trends. Yes, trends are good. I never say no to trends. I always look and follow them. But even within trends, you need to look also for weak signals. Is there a movement towards something, or is something sinking down? To give you an example, I've been doing research on smart cities and intelligent buildings for close to 25 years. The names, they may have changed or evolved over the years. And I frankly believe that in terms of research and technology development, we have pretty much reached the summit. But now, it's only now that the normal people are talking about it. How do we move into them? What do we need to do? So then, we start going forth and implementing those.
What's the biggest misconception companies have about innovation?
I think I like to, have my own perspective on innovations, if I may say forth. People think a new idea or something great, it's an innovation. I totally disagree with that.
Okay.
So for me, you always start off with a nice and brilliant idea, right? And once you have that idea, and that idea is usually always triggered towards solving a genuine problem, which you or the company or society may have, right? That's what usually triggers ideas. So you have an idea. The moment you are able to create a proof of concept or something which works, then it becomes an invention, right? So it's a great invention. But the moment the market starts, let's say, adopting it, and it becomes almost like a habit, that's where I see the innovation actually coming in. Because for me, these days, an innovation only makes sense if it is, number one, societally desirable. Society must want to have it. We are very wise people. We need to make choices. It has to be economically viable. Otherwise, there's no business case for it. But most importantly, it has to be environmentally feasible. And the core of innovations, they, happen at that center point. So again, a new phone coming out into the market, for me, that's not an innovation. But when many people start, suddenly using it and adopting it, and it turns into almost like a commodity which you can't let go of, that's where I see the innovation name coming in.
In what ways should cities rethink infrastructure and design in a light of future challenges such as climate change and, let's say, mass urbanization?
That is a really tough one for many cities today. I've been working with hundreds of cities over the years. Now, the easy answer, somebody would tell you, oh, let's build a new smart city. And I immediately, look at them with skepticism. I can give you tens of examples of smart cities, new ones, fantastically designed, great tech, but they've become ghost towns. So, for example, you're living in Zagreb, and I would say, hey, Zagreb has these problems. I can give you a list of problems and say, what do I need to do to make you move 100 or 150 kilometers away from Zagreb? And you'll say, no, the problems are not that bad. I have my job, I have my family, everything works over here. Why the hell would I move away to a place which is perhaps more expensive? Then, of course, you see these said, okay, we're getting rapid urbanization, we're getting urban sprawl, infrastructure's dying. How can I fix this? Because perhaps the city was not designed for 2 million people. It was maybe designed for 100,000 people. So then you start reconsidering how the infrastructure is. In particular, electricity, you have the sewage, you have the water, you have the waste. How can I optimize them? How can I optimize the flows? And then, you say, should I tear down all existing infrastructure? The answer is no. It's a huge environmental impact to bring things down and rebuild. So then you say, well, how can I upgrade existing infrastructure to make it more energy efficient? That is like number one criteria, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and yet make it the most comfortable place for people to live. And one of the key things over here, which Europe suffers a lot from, is indoor air quality. Now, people don't realize that as human beings, we spend more times indoors than we actually do outdoors. We're always complaining about, pollution and the quality of air outside homes. But we should also be talking about inside homes and facilities. And in countries like Finland, where I come from, we have certain clear guidelines on what needs to be renovated and when a building needs to be renovated. And I see that as, the best opportunity to actually significantly upscale existing buildings. If it means adding more insulation, changing the facade, we do that. If it means adding in or changing air circulation systems, ventilation systems, we do that. So there's a lot which can be done within existing buildings.
When we talk about sprawl cities and all the overpopulated cities that simply don't have the capacity,
Yep.
which we can see from any standpoint, especially the traffic, maybe in
Yep.
some parts, air pollution, blah, blah, everything. What do you think is the, let's say, top inevitable threats or issues we're going to definitely face in, let's say, 10 years?
I don't see too many threats, to be honest. I actually see opportunities. I'm an optimist, but at the same time, a realist. And my belief is that for human beings, to make a fundamental change, things need to get bad enough. So, as an example, yes, you have traffic problems at the moment, and with the urban sprawl and everything, they're going to get worse. People get frustrated. But then, this may be the turning point and the opportunity for, let's say, using public transport. If the structures and everything is suddenly more efficient, 10 years from now, I'm sure you will have certain types of even autonomous, let's say, mobility solutions coming in. To give, an example, if I talk about, let's say, the center of Zagreb, and, we have this autonomous vehicles running, and I would not say cars, but let's say small vans, which can seat 10, 15 people. And, you have a guarantee that within, as an example, a 3-kilometer radius, the maximum time it takes you to go from any point to another point is 15 minutes. You go in, you give your destination, device picks you up, you get on board, and based on the number of people over there, and because it knows how many people are waiting at what stops, it optimizes its route, knowing that it has to get you from point A to point B in, for example, 15 minutes. And when we suddenly start seeing such solutions or advantages coming in, I think we will rethink, the use of personal cars. Just like, now with the gig economy, many people, they're ordering food home. I mean, of course, COVID, it triggered many things, but you sometimes think that, should I really, I want to have a particular type of meal. Does it make sense? I go out, I drive my car, I go there, bring it back home and eat it. Doesn't make sense. Maybe I pay a couple of euros. Again, that reduces a lot of emissions happening, right? And, it's rerouted and everything comes home. Or let's say the city suddenly says that, okay, we have the whole map. Here we have lots of rush hour, too much traffic. What if I give you some bonus points or, some tokens or something else that you don't go at this time? And, you agree to it, whatever, and suddenly you get cheaper fuel for your car. Or, you get certain points. You can use that in a lottery. You can get coupons somewhere else. It totally, changes the mindset. And of course, with the younger generation, then they say, okay, let's play with this. This is actually going to be fun.
What's your, so to conclude this short but sweet episode with you, Mr. Kazi, what's your message to the young people, to young leaders, the ones whose time is only about to come?
Yeah. I would say that, don't limit your imagination. Don't limit your imagination. Technology is ready. Technology is there. It's just how to, connect the technology. And I think what the younger generation should be thinking about, and I know they'll hate me for saying this, but is to start planning for what type of city they would like to die in. What the hell are you talking about, Sammy? It's, I think our time is gone. At least my time is gone. But the younger generation, if they can start planning their future well in advance, they can actually help develop and configure the best places to retire or live in the future. So don't limit your imagination, be as crazy and wild as possible. And if things make sense to a bigger group, technology is there.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank
It's
you.
been an honor to have you on the show.
Pleasure.
Drage dame i gospode, bila je ovo još jedna epizoda Liderova podcasta. Kao što već dobro znate, svih ostalih 11 sveukupnih epizoda Lider podcasta na Future Tense-u možete naći negdje ovdje na našoj Lider podcast playlisti na Future Tense-u. Do sljedećeg gledanja i srdačan pozdrav!